Hey guys, how y'all doing? I'm here to give you guys a recap on the new chapter or episode of RWBY, which is on chapter or episode 3, whichever you may call it. And apparently this chapter right here, wow, a lot of things were revealed, and the way how it went, it looks like to me things are not going to go very smoothly as things would progress. So if anything else, let's go. We have to it that Blake's father decides to make a speech to the population of the Faunus and Menagerie and explains to them like what's been happening, etc., especially with the White Fang. He therefore also gives up his history that he was actually the leader of the White Fang, but apparently not a lot of people are actually happy with his progress on how things should go. And apparently he stepped down and allowed Sienna Khan to take over. And we all know what happened to her eventually. I mean, those of you guys who've been keeping up with RWBY, etc., will understand what happened. Those of you who haven't, why the hell are you watching this video? I apologize for my rudeness right there. And being off topic. Aside from that, Blake's father wanted the progression to be further to be faster, so he allowed Sienna Khan to take over. And apparently, after what happened here and there, we have to it that that he explains the history that I know things are very tough, like with humanity and Faunus and how we've been discriminated and how we're not treated fairly, we're not treated equally, we're just being like thrown as garbage dust around like the world. But he says that he believes that we could reorganize the White Fang once more and try to help out, try to make things right. And that is helping out Haven Academy that will be attacked by Adam around the time around the full moon once Haven hits it. And apparently Ilya calls them traitors, and she interrupted the speech and says, yeah, what about what humanity never helped us at all? And she brings up the bad upbringings about herself, like, where are the humans when my parents died in a dust mine? Where is the humans that we asked them for help when we were put into slavery in the dust company, huh? How do you expect us to even work together with the humans after all they did to us? And apparently, like, we have to it that Blake's father tries to explain to Ilya, I know this is tough right now, but progress takes time for it to grow. And Ilya does not believe that and says, all you guys, listen, if you guys want progress and you want a better world, follow Adam in the White Fang. He will lead us to victory and give us the future we need. Sun, on the other hand, after having enough of her voice and trying to cause the chaos and trouble, Sun jumps in and tries to stop her, but she ends up escaping. And one of them ends up like chasing after her because of her chaos, etc. And of course, two minor characters, which is Corsac and Fennec, of course. Those two characters were there at the speech, but apparently did not have much of a role to play, but to listen to what they had to say, and etc. Of course, things got a little bit more tough for them, eventually. But aside from that, we have to it that Oscar is being pressured by the other students of Team Ranger, especially Crow, but he breaks it up by saying, just let him talk for now, etc. And we had to it that Oscar says, I'm going to be around here still, but if anything else, I hope you guys have your time with him. And therefore, somehow, Ozpin ends up taking over and explains to them what happened, and he says that this is all his fault from the very, very beginning. And he apologizes for the mistakes he made. And he explains to everyone that I was not exaggerating, that I made many more mistakes than any child, woman, or man on this planet or in Remnant because of my plans or dysfunctional mind in a certain way. So it looks like to me, Ozpin explains to the history about like he lived for 1,000 years. I'm like, 1,000 years? What the heck did you do to live that long? But apparently, every time he dies, he gets his soul merged with another person. And you know what's even worse is that his memories stay with him every time he's reborn. And he goes into another person and tries to convince him to help him out. So he also explains the Ozpin you knew at Beacon Academy, that was not my first body. That was actually the many Ozpins I actually had to become. And he also explains the reason why he's been reborn and his memories stay with him every time he dies. And of course, Cinder did kill him, but Ozpin does have this kind of power to be reborn every time. We had to it that Ozpin explains that he's been cursed by the gods, and he explains that the reason why he was cursed by the gods is because he's failed to stop Salem one time and another, or one time, and he was cursed by the gods to live to be reborn every time he dies, his soul merged with another person, and continue his job to the very ends of the earth, or to the very end of Remnant. So it looks like to me, Ozpin was not playing when he said he made more mistakes, and the way that he says that he lives for 1,000 years, and I don't know how those 1,000 years came about where he tries to take down Salem or stop her. It must have been a failing task a lot, because if Ozpin was really cursed by the gods for unable to stop Salem, I guess that time for unable to stop Salem must be really serious, and they gotten really ticked off maybe because of what he could have done. Then they might have cursed him to keep being reborn, which is possibly far worse than death, because you are reborn in another person's body for 1,000 years, and the memories that you had with that person, or the failings along with your successes, will go with you, especially those traumatizing moments, etc. They stay with you every time you're reborn into another person. I'm like, that is mentally pressuring or stressful, because you can't forget those memories every time you die and you're reborn into another person's body, etc. Yeah. But aside from that, we get to a scene switch with Weiss being held at a bandit camp, and as I said in my last chapter or episode recap of RWBY in Volume 5, they were going to use Weiss as a bargaining chip to ransom her for money, which is really, really obvious from the start, because Raven says, I think we just hit the jackpot. Although, aside from that, that woman that has Weiss's weapon, etc., tells her, cooperate and nothing will happen to you. I'm thinking in my mind, I don't want her to cooperate, and I want her out of the that stupid mansion and away from her evil, ridiculous father. Aside from that, we have to it that Weiss warns them about her sister Winter Schnee will come looking for her, and she will be a pain in the neck if she finds her. And they go like, I'm sorry to break the news to you, but General Ironwood closed all borders beforehand after what happened to Beacon, so no one's gonna save you. And therefore, it became really obvious that it looks really hopeless for Weiss alone. But who knows what will happen. But aside from that, we have to it that we get a scenery switch to Team Ranger, of course, and Nora explains that maybe we could tell Ironwood Lionheart what's up, etc. But I'm thinking in my mind, Lionheart is like stabbing you guys in the back right now, so it's not a good idea. And of course, Crow says we can't tell him that, because after I had my meeting with him, he seems to be acting irrationally or in a strange way that's not considered normal. And Ozpin agrees and says that Lionheart is possibly doing something behind the scenes, which he is correct, by the way, but he has not been given confirmation yet, because Lionheart is nothing more than just being somewhat of a traitor, etc. We all know that for a fact. Although, I think he's just working with Salem against his own will. Although, many friends and other people are speculating that Lionheart might have someone precious to him held hostage, but we don't really know about that for sure. But whatever the case may be, we'll have to find out. But aside from that, we have to it that Ozpin wants to find other hunters and huntresses to help them out to protect the Relic of Knowledge, or to maybe find a Spring Maiden. Although the Spring Maiden was not mentioned in chapter or episode, this might be related to what's to come for the plan involved to stop Salem. And we have to it that Crow says he will find other hunters and huntresses to help him out. But apparently, like, Ozpin wants to make sure that they are trustworthy. And Crow says, don't worry, leave it to me. I've known enough to, like, where to gather and maybe recruit. I'm thinking in my mind, I wish you the best then, because sometimes things can change in a human nature and in a person. So wish you the best. While that step will be taken care of, Ozpin says that he wants to train Team Ranger, etc. to their fighting stance or style. Because apparently, the way they are now, as Ozpin explains it, you guys need to be in fighting shape in order to prove a real threat to Salem. But apparently, we have to it that, that RWBY sucks at hand-to-hand combat, which was obvious from the start, which I really pity her in. And John has yet to unlock his semblance, which I look forward to and see where the creators would put on for that. While Ozpin explains that, like, he needs to strengthen Oscar's body because, like, he's not in combat mode and he's not a fighter. He's a freaking farm boy, and he needs to be in shape in order to, like, take on Salem's forces, etc. We have to it that Ozpin also warns him, I'm not going to go easy on you. Remember that. We only have a month left before the new semester at Haven Academy starts. And I would tell you right now, I hope you guys, like, understand that this will not be as simple as you think would be. And therefore, Ozpin leaves and Oscar falls over the chair, etc. He goes like, oh man, this is really going to be a pain in the neck. And therefore ends off there. But apparently we go to a scene where, like, Weiss ends up summoning Hello Small Knight to cut her bonds while the bandits who were supposed to keep an eye on her are sleeping. And apparently she nods at the knight to cut her bonds and gets ready to escape. So overall, I gotta say the chapter was pretty slick, very good, not too bad. And overall, the history with Ozpin, etc. was actually pretty cool, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that part very much, etc. Not to mention the history with the Faunus and the speech of Blake's father making. That's also another best part, etc. Of course, the last good part was Weiss being held hostage, but she will escape eventually, etc. So, speeches and history lessons about what happened with the Faunus and Ozpin himself. Talk about some major revelation here and there. Not to mention, like, things will get tough here on out for Blake herself because, like, Ilya will continue to cause her chaos around Menagerie and have people come with her and agree with her ideology to go with Adam, which he goes into extreme brutality methods, etc. So, who knows what's going to happen next, but one thing for sure, it's not going to look out really pretty. So, until then, I'll see you guys in my next video. So, I'm Alpha Zero, people. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time, right? Peace out. Bye-bye. Doo-doo-doo!